There we go. Welcome to John Santo's The Radio. And here is your host, John Santo. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Radio with John Santo. What do you guys think of the new theme song? I figured Donna Summer's The Radio was a good theme song since that's also the name of the song. And just like in the James Bond movie, I like when the title of the picture is in the theme song. But that's just me. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce you to my special guest co-host.
Hey, DB Frick here with John Santos, comedian, writer, producer, director, actor, failure, comedian. I said comedian twice.
Twice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, John.
It's very good to see you. I thank you for, I know you're a very busy celebrity, so
such a busy celebrity.
Thank you for accommodating our schedule change. My original guest for tonight, you were supposed to come on the 9th.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you were actually scheduled for the show.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it.
She had jury duty, so we flipped you. So she's going to take your spot.
Yeah.
Very accommodating.
I try to make it as easy as possible.
And on your birthday, nonetheless. Happy birthday.
It's so lovely. Not because it's my birthday, but because it's my birthday. Yeah. No,
well, we have a special surprise for you on your birthday.
Uh-oh.
I have arranged for Adam Sandler to sing you happy birthday.
Oh, that's great. Is he coming in?
He's right here.
Oh, my God, Adam!
Hello, DB Frick. And here we go. Happy birthday to
that's
you.
Nice.
Happy birthday
a big deal.
to DB Frick. Happy birthday to you.
Big close there.
Wow. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Adam Sandler.
You're very welcome.
Wow. He left quick. He got out of here.
We get celebrities in
Yeah.
quickly.
They just come in for, and you don't, do you pay them? Do you pay those?
No, everybody loves this show.
Yeah, of course.
We are, I don't know if you saw the latest statistics, but we are the #1 radio show on this network on this day at this time.
At this time.
Yes.
Were you ever number 2? Did you have to?
Not at this time
not
on
at
this
this
day
time.
on this network.
Okay.
Right out of the gate, we were #1.
Okay.
And we also, in a study, an opinion poll conducted recently, we were the best radio show of any radio show on any network anywhere in the world. And the source for that poll was Santo Analytics.
Okay. Is that a company? Are you attached to that
No relation.
No. Okay. It has nothing to do with you.
Well, I'm the owner and the president and the CEO, but the people that do the polls are completely independent to do whatever they want. I don't.
To do whatever they want.
They don't. They have
With
no
the
influence.
information and the data, too. They
There's
can
a
do whatever they want.
firewall between the executives and the pollsters.
Yes. Well, that would have to be. That's how else would people vote?
That's correct. So no,
It was great seeing you. We haven't really been in contact much since I was doing a show at Governor's for a while,
Yep.
and you called in all the time.
All the time.
And you were doing Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, and you did Obama, and you did them ordering a pizza one day.
Yep.
And it was really awesome.
it's funny because I never was in the studio for that show. It was always call-in.
Yeah, it was just the way it was so hard to even make all of that happen. It was so hard to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Well, one time I did it before I was going on a comedy show. I called from the parking
I
lot.
remember that.
Yeah.
That was great.
I was
That
all the way
great.
out east of the show, but
That-
it worked out. I had fun doing it.
You were a member of the not quite ready for jihad players, which is my favorite joke ever. Like a lot of people walk away from that like you should be careful. Maybe that joke might get you shot.
It could. There's all
It
kinds
shouldn't.
of stuff.
It
The world is a
shouldn't.
very messed up place.
The world is a messed up place. We could talk about that. We could talk about how messed up the place is.
Well, I just got back from Florida. I was on the Laughter Saves Lives comedy tour.
That's great. Those guys are great. I mean, John LaRocchia. I've known John for a long time. I've not done many of his shows over the years, but I've known John. So you're very
had,
lucky to be part of that.
Oh, it was
great.
great. And we got to, I used to be a volunteer firefighter, so we got to raise money for police and firefighter charities down in Florida.
It's an amazing thing.
And we also, tied in the Met spring training because we were our home base was Port St. Lucie. We had one
Saw
show.
some of those pictures. Yes.
Oh, I had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
blast there again, but we had one show about a half hour south of the hotel, in Jensen Beach.
So cool.
We had another show an hour north in Melbourne, and then we had one show right in the hotel, Port St. Lucie. So it was either really close, somewhat of a drive, or kind of a far drive.
But I'm sure, who else was there? Who was on the show?
It was so John Butera happened to be in Florida at the same time. He was a guest on one of the shows, and then he did a spot at Jensen Beach. Then he had to go back to the West Coast. Then he drove back to the East Coast. He had other shows in Fort Lauderdale.
That's great.
So he had a lot of windshield time down there. We had John Salerno came in from Texas, and John LaRocchia and I and his son came in from New York. So
Is John's son doing comedy?
he emceed one of the shows in Melbourne.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So and then we had Steve Netto, who's based out in Tampa. So we had people coming in from Florida, and then John Glazik, who produced a show with Eric Haft. He happened to be down there for a golf thing, and we ran into him down there. So it was like I ran into all these people.
That's great.
From New York down there. So it was nice.
That will only continue and grow.
Yeah, it's the greatest. But we got to try. So a lot of my friends, though, unfortunately, are really more south of there. So I got to try to get shows like in the Fort Lauderdale area, Naples, and Tampa, because I know I have friends and family in those parts of the state, and they can't even. Not even that they don't want to take the hour drive to Port St. Lucie. They can't get there sometimes in time for the show because they're working. We did the show Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday we were all the way up in Melbourne. That's like a 3-hour drive for them.
There are so many clubs out in Florida. There's so many comedy clubs. I haven't really done that scene at all. I can't say that I have.
Yeah.
I've done locally the scene in Connecticut and New Jersey
Right.
and Pennsylvania and Long Island and the city and some in L.A. and a few shows out in London. But those were like just open mic things.
Right.
So aside from those places, I never really. I perform comedy a lot. I mean, I perform thousands of times in front of audiences, but those places, and mostly when I was at UCLA, when I worked there, I used to host so many MCs.
Oh, you
so
went
many
to
things.
UCLA?
I worked at UCLA.
Okay.
Between 2007 and 2014.
Oh, wow.
And helped with classes like digital filmmaking and playwriting and improv. I would help with quite a bit. We would do a show every week with those kids.
What was amazing to me, a career highlight for me, was seeing my name in lights in Las Vegas.
I would love that. That's such a bucket list thing.
It was at
Such
the
a bucket
Hertz
list thing.
rental car. It said John Santo.
Oh, you built that
spot
up. Beautiful.
D4. But
It's still Vegas.
you can kind of see the strip in the background. So
It's amazing how you can make anything that happens to you sound so much better. Than it really is.
Well, that's what you do, when you're a professional bullshitter.
Right. That's how. That's.
Can we curse? I forgot that.
Yeah, I haven't.
The censors don't listen to the show.
Yeah. Does anybody?
We have
millions of listeners.
Millions of listeners. In fact, I got an email from an astronaut on board the International Space Station.
Oh, okay.
Christina Koch, who's an astronaut, and she said, "Love the show, but she can only listen when they're passing over Long Island because then they lose the signal."
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. They hear the whole thing streaming.
That's pretty cool.
The International Space Station.
That you can actually do that. That's actually a real thing.
I used to publish the time, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. I used to publish it at Greenwich Mean Time, and then I said, because for the astronauts on the International Space Station, I would publish Houston time so that everything is coordinated. So.
Oh, is that are you serious? Is that a real thing you're talking about? That sounds. Thought you were building up to a joke there.
No. That's just.
Okay. That's incredible.
On the status.
Yeah,
of the
I'm
show.
so bad with data. Like I'd be the worst person to.
You're bad with data?
I would. I think like crunching numbers and
that's
stuff like
funny.
that. I don't think I could do that.
That's
stuff.
actually what I do in the daytime. I'm a data consultant, data analytics.
I remember you saying that vaguely. I think that's probably why I'm stuck in my head.
Anybody who works with a lot of Excel sheets, that's what I do. I get them out of Excel and into the dashboard world of automated
Excel got me so frustrated. I had a job working for Geeks Who Drink, which is hosting trivia nights at bars locally and in the city. And there was a Excel spreadsheet that we had to fill out, and I swear to God, that's why I didn't want to
Excel
continue. I didn't want to
is tough.
continue the job because it made it so difficult.
But I make it so much easier than Excel. Like I was helping a friend of mine as a company, and he gets reports on 10 different Excel sheets, and then different metrics. And I said, not only can I combine all these into one dashboard for you in Tableau, I can automate the flow of the information. So all the prep work that he had to do, like changing the field, like a date field wasn't the right format. He had to reformat a lot of stuff manually. I automated all of that for him.
Wow. Okay.
So he was getting, like, just a very simple example. He was getting stuff like with a phone number. Some people publish a phone number in the area code in parentheses. Some people do, dots in between the numbers.
Right.
The exchange and the area code. Other people do dashes.
I change it all the time.
Right. So I just stripped all that formatting out of it so that all the 10 Excels were just the 10-digit number, and then I reformatted it on the back end.
Oh,
so I'm able to write code to do that. It's not that hard to do that.
But coding is like one of the most fastest growing
thing. My industry is exploding with opportunities. I interviewed 2 years ago with the Cleveland Indians. They called me out of the blue and said, we found your resume online. You're exactly what we're looking for. And I said, well, is this for the baseball operations, like player stats side, like Moneyball, or is it more the business, ticket sales? That it was for the business side.
Okay.
She didn't know because she was not a Cleveland Indians recruiter. She was like a outside recruiter that they hired.
I've had.
And it would have been 1 week in Cleveland, 1 week in New York, 1 week in Cleveland. Every other week I would have to go to Cleveland. And then the other time it would be remote. So I said, well, why can't I just get an office at MLB headquarters on Park Avenue? That would have been.
That would have been really classic.
Yeah, because that's where they're based. They're based on Park Avenue. But that I ended up the pay was decent, but it was like the same I was making here, but I wouldn't have to travel to Cleveland every week.
Okay.
So I ended up not doing it. But my wife's like, maybe you should. Maybe that'll help you get in with the Mets.
Oh, she wanted you out of the house.
Out of the house. but what am I going to do if the Indians make the World Series? So I'm working for the Indians. And let's just hypothetically say it's Indians-Mets in the World Series. What the F do I do?
Oh, my God.
Right? I'm a Met fan since forever.
Yeah.
So now I get, if they win, I probably get a ring.
You would have to wear your Mets stuff underneath the Cleveland Indians stuff.
Right. So that would be putting me in a. Well, first of all, I would root for the Mets.
It's very Costanza. It's very George Costanza
jobs
situation.
Come and go, but the Mets are always,
the Mets are always a part of your life, you mean?
Right.
Like that's, yeah.
My wife one time asked me, because one of the Met pitchers had an injury. And what else is new? So I'm going on the websites looking for any information I could find as to how long this injury might last. So she said, do you care more about the Mets pitcher's health than mine? And I said, that's a ridiculous question. If you were a starting pitcher for the Mets, I'd be just as worried about your health. So she said, you love the Mets more than me? I said, that's a ridiculous statement. I know them 20 years longer than I know you.
That is an insinuation that you love them more.
Right. Do I have a jersey that says wife? No. It says Mets.
Mets, right.
No, I was kidding.
That's like you tell that on stage, right? That's something you say on stage.
I don't do that on stage, should I?
I think that's effing hilarious.
If anybody would know, it would be DB Frick.
That's effing
All right, let me write that down. Do Mets.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it already seemed polished, too.
Joke.
It seemed like a portion of it, but yeah,
on
it seemed very
stage
polished.
Per DB Frick. It's like writing
as per DB Frick.
Per DB Frick. Because if DB Frick, when DB Frick
it's like
talks,
E.F. Hutton. I'm like E.F. Hutton. Yeah.
High five. You got it. Okay. Because you have that two initials name.
Right. That comes from a strange place.
I was going to say it's wealth, prominence, and
it sounds like
or what is it? Aristocracy.
Aristocracy.
Yes.
There is no other DB Frick in the history of man.
Okay.
And it's that I like, but my name is Daniel Barry Frick. And I changed it when
DB Frick isn't your real name?
Well, I changed it when I joined. It just dropped his pen.
See, when the people come on the radio, I find things out, people.
Yeah. It's Daniel Barry Frick because I had to change my name when I joined Equity and the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. And I had when I was, yeah. Anyway, so I got the opportunity to do that, so I had to change my name because there was another Dan Frick in Equity. Which I'm eligible to join SAG and AFTRA, and I haven't actually done, but I would have to have my name would have to be DB Frick.
Am I eligible for SAG membership because I impersonate members?
You should look into that. You should call. That would be a great call, like that isn't really a prank call. You're calling and you're trying to get information, and you try to get that information, and that
Excuse me, but one of your members is Arnold Schwarzenegger. There should be like a SAG a SAG for impressionists. So if you impersonate a SAG member, you join SAG Impressionists, SAG-I. And then it's a different membership structure, different fee structure, different benefits.
There's a union for everything but comedians and like print artists. There's no union for print artists.
Why don't we form a union?
Oh my God, that would scare club owners. If comedians were unionized, club owners across the country, I don't know. I think a lot of clubs would end up closing because then everyone would demand certain rates.
I just want jalapeno poppers.
Just to try them across the country. Like go to clubs, take pictures of them, to write about them, and just do that across the country. That's a niche book that people would buy.
I love jalapeno poppers.
Yeah, you say that like you just seduced a jalapeno popper.
I love jalapeno poppers.
That's
when you say there's Morgan Freeman, it's better.
Yeah. I saw a picture of him, and then next to a young picture of him, and it was mind blowing. Like a picture of him when he was like 12, and there's not much of a difference.
Every time
change much.
I read something like a quote of his, it's always in his voice in my head.
Yes.
That's very common, I think.
It's like your life in your head is narrated by Morgan Freeman. Like when you do things, you wake up in the morning and you're like, John Santos goes to get his coffee. I don't do a Morgan Freeman.
I got to get my coffee.
Morgan
I did a
Freeman's
thing about
funny.
my wife's ugly curtains. You've seen my wife's hideous 1970s third world paramilitary camouflage curtains, I'm sure.
I'd love to now that you
I joke about them on Facebook regularly. So one time I did a video in front of them, and I did Morgan Freeman from Shawshank. I'm like, these curtains are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them, then you joke about them on Facebook, and then you just accept them. That's institutionalized.
I wonder how often him and Sam Jackson are talked about for the same roles.
Yes.
Like all the time, and who's older? And Sam Jackson wasn't in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you should.
You know what I just saw? 1917. We saw that in Florida.
I want to see that.
Great picture.
I'm sure. I'm so sure. And just to depict World War I, it was a brutal, brutal experience.
Brutal.
That land war and just in the trenches and everything. It's heavy stuff. So I haven't seen it yet because it's so heavy.
That's when military aviation started. The airplane, 1917. Right. The Wright brothers were only 1903.
Right.
The airplane was only 14 years old.
They just started using it in battle.
And first they used it for reconnaissance, and the two pilots of the opposing militaries used to wave at each other. They'd go take the pictures and come back. And then one day somebody brought a gun, took a shot at the other guy, and then they mounted machine guns, and that's where aerial combat was born. That's how the dog fight started.
They realized in that moment we can put guns on planes.
We could put guns on planes and fire through the propeller. It was
right,
timed,
which I think people would assume physics wouldn't allow you to shoot forward.
It was timed a certain way to fire, but I'm like, what about the wind?
I wonder how often that screwed up. That must have screwed up
in the early days.
often. Yeah.
Now there was also I remember hearing about a supersonic jet fighter that was traveling so fast it used a cannon, and the bullets slowed down faster than the plane, and he shot himself down with his own bullets because he flew into them.
That's what I'm afraid of happening. Yeah, I don't. Not
that
that I'm shooting bullets a lot off of the back of trucks.
I got to confirm if that's actually true. If that's one of those stories, but
that is a bucket list thing.
Plenty of listeners that are aviation experts. I'm sure if it's right or wrong, they'll tell me. And we welcome it. We like to be accurate here on the radio.
Yes, of course.
Very accurate.
Wouldn't want to be. No, the radio is probably the most accurate form of information
we try
that is out there. It's the most trustworthy. It's
most
the
trustworthy.
Most honest.
Santo Analytics, we have a poll.
Yes, you have the poll, obviously.
We have the most trusted name in news.
Obviously. The most trusted name in news.
We took that from somebody else because they're not trusted anymore.
No, how could
I took it.
How can you trust anyone?
Can't
anymore?
trust anybody.
No, can't trust it.
So there was.
Go ahead, I was gonna go someplace we shouldn't. I was gonna go into a place where it's like MSNBC I was having meltdowns yesterday, and
Why?
I
What
loved
happened-
watching.
what happened on MSNBC?
Though that they were all once they see that, and it doesn't matter this early in the election
Right.
who wins what states. That Bernie won 3 states of the last 4 doesn't matter because Bill Clinton lost 12 of the first 13.
I was just going to say, in
And-
1982, I'm like, who's this guy
Right.
from Arkansas?
Yeah, they don't- yeah.
He's got no shot.
yeah, nobody knew, and then it all changed. So
You
it,
never know.
No.
That's why I wish to be like on election night. Like they why don't you just nobody say a word till the next
Right,
day?
right.
Count the votes,
Right.
and then tell us.
we know that we're not going to know that night now.
with
So
1% of the precincts reporting, this guy has a commanding lead. Yeah, but the other 99%.
why are you
vote for
saying
you.
that? Yeah, why would 1%? Yeah, I don't
It's
understand that.
It's so stupid. And then the other states haven't even voted yet. When I'm president,
Yeah.
nobody says a word until all the polls are closed. If they do, I'll pull their FCC right there. Right there, I'll shut them off.
How much does it cost? What is the lowest amount it could cost to run for president? Like, what's the least you could spend?
I am against any money being spent.
Shouldn't.
All campaigns publicly financed.
I agree.
If there's X number kid, the budget is this. It's provided. I'm against anybody having more voice than anybody else. I'm against all
Yeah.
money in politics. Lobbying should be done away with.
Sure, I agree
When I'm
with you.
president, it's all gone.
People still need to be able to speak on things. Like, there is a good thing about lobbyists, but so much of it is used for negative influence.
And we could have maybe some form of that, but no money involved.
Right, no, that's the problem.
And
yeah,
why
so many
should
of
they
them.
have access to my elected? You got these lobbyists running around with $2,000 shoes, and they're talking to my elected official. First of all, you don't even need the Congress was from an old time. You don't need a Congress anymore. When I'm president,
It
there's
should
going
be
to be no
people.
more Congress.
Just be all the people. Everyone
Right.
just vote online.
Online. Tell me what you want to do. Whatever.
We'll go with the popular consideration. Like people have vote. Like wow,
We'll
yeah.
make it a 60% threshold. If you guys want this, my administration will do it.
And then if you don't get to that 60%, then it's a no, even though more people want it than don't.
Well, maybe it's 55%.
I don't know.
want it to be a
I
little
don't
more
know.
than 50, though.
It's got to be, but I mean, you can't do it at 51. Like I think that whenever they do a poll,
Mm-hmm.
there's 3 to 5%, sometimes 7%. You could go
Well, this
either
wouldn't
way.
be a poll. That's margin of error. But
Right.
this wouldn't be a poll. This is everybody gets an account number, and they tell me what they want them to do. That's not a lot.
That's hundreds of millions of people coming directly to you.
I want it all coming in.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. My Secretary of Agriculture is going to have his own police force.
Do you know who that's going to be?
Doug Hildeman. I'm appointing Doug Hildeman, Secretary of Agriculture.
I know
He's in the food
I know
business.
who that is.
Doug is
Yeah.
great. And I said, there's 11 ingredients. I had him on the show like the 3rd or 4th episode. There's 11 ingredients that are banned everywhere in the world except the United States because of the lobbyists and all this other crap. And they're getting their.
Do you know any of those things?
We read the list off in the Doug Hildeman episode. There was some arsenic. There was some horrible things in there.
We're allowed,
high
right.
fructose corn syrup. Some really crazy chemicals.
Yeah, it's killing people.
When I'm president, all that is banned.
Wait, that means we wouldn't have like soda.
No, you can have it with natural sugar.
Okay, which is fine. I
Right,
like those too.
and if they make a diet version, and they make a hot there's no reason for there to be 150 calories in a can of soda. Make me a 70-calorie can of soda.
Sure.
With one small amount of
Doesn't need to
raw
be-
sugar from Hawaii.
Why does it need to be 43 grams
Over
of
sugar. Now, if people want to buy that high sugar thing, they can make it, but they got to make a middle of the road. I don't want all those diet chemicals. I want carbonated water, a little flavor, and raw sugar in the raw. I buy the 6-pound bag at Costco, and I just use that in my coffee. Now I'm not going to say sugar's good for you, but that's better for you.
I just do black coffee now.
You do black.
For the last 2 years.
There's going to be a lot of change. Oh, and by the way, remember what we talked
It's
about
also
before?
Black History Month still. So
It's still Black History Month, and I have a Black History Month story. The area code, when people do a telephone number, no more dots. It's dashes only. When I'm president, it's going to be a misdemeanor if you write a phone number on your signature on email with dots. Dashes. Who the hell said that?
that's very Kim Jong Un.
It's very no. You know what it is? You have to have order. You have to have some
some
it's
sort of order.
Some woke
Assembly of-
millennial was
yeah.
like, the dashes are so 20th century. I'm doing dots. F you. You're not doing dots. If you do dots, you're going to jail. And there's 2 spaces after a period. 2 spaces after a period.
But you can't, like, you're not going to get the world, because people are writing so much now and our phones screw up so much of what we're writing.
Right.
Like, I'd say at least 10 to 12% of everything that I write is screwed up by my phone, or
Yes.
it's a different word, and I send something out. I had one situation where I was dating this girl, and there's a restaurant in Manhattan called Virgil's.
Yep.
And I start texting her.
I know that place.
And I'm like, hey, do you want to go to Virgil's? And it comes out Virgins. I'm saying I'm right near Virgins. Do you want any Virgins?
She's like,
So
no,
my
I've never been
girlfriend
there.
said, No,
Nobody
I don't
has.
I almost lost that relationship.
Let me tell you something.
Broke up with her.
To all the grammar Nazis out there, stop correcting people for your and your and your.
Oh God,
There is a chance that the person is stupid and doesn't know the difference.
but there's also a chance that.
But there's also a chance that the autocorrect changed it, and I don't really give a shit anymore because I'm not backspacing, because then it screws up the whole thing. Then the phone freezes, and I lost the whole goddamn thing when I was typing. So stop correcting your with the apostrophe. I know it's you are. Nobody gives a shit anymore. Nobody cares. And if the person is making a phenomenal argument about, what rocket fuel should be used, that person's educated.
I'm with you.
They don't give a shit, nor do I, what the hell the freaking thing is about.
It's so 2011.
Oh my God! You just whipped my ass in an argument, but unless
you're taking an English class, then you should be.
And you know what? I have nothing but contempt for those people, because when I was an aeronautics student, they made me take this bullshit English literature class. I'm like, no, you want me to take literature? I want to read The Hunt for Red October.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to read this.
That is literature, though.
Poems.
A Year of Samuel Johnson.
Yeah,
Pope.
I don't care. I'm only interested in CIA spy novels.
Yeah,
they're exciting.
Right. But they have classes like that too. Of course,
they did in my school. They made me read this.
Where'd you go to school?
Beowulf crap and this Dowling. It was a liberal arts.
Oh
college.
yeah, they closed a few years ago.
But they also I got my MBA there too. But I'm interested in business and airplanes. I'm not interested.
Dowling was a plane school too, didn't
aircraft. That's where I got my bachelor's in aeronautics.
Right. I had someone else, a friend, James Picaro, went there, and he was into aeronautics.
Okay.
He's like only a year older than me. So
it's a great school.
4 or 5 years younger than. Anyway. But that's I love that. But I hate. You know what I do hate? I don't like flight. I don't like getting on planes. I like looking at planes. I saw like a boat show that they had going on at Nassau Coliseum yesterday after my gig was finished at the Islanders game. I started just walked around, look at all the boat show. Yeah, and I love that stuff.
Let me just say something about boat people. I'm buying a boat this year.
Oh no! Don't do it.
No,
you're buying yourself stress and misery. You're gonna hate it. You're going to hate owning that boat. It's going to make you so unhappy.
I know a lot of people.
Getting another wife.
I know a lot of people with boats. Nobody ever invited me on their boat.
No.
Right? When I buy the boat, they're like, oh, you got to take a class. I'm not taking any classes. I'm not taking any classes in navigation or right of way. I don't give a shit. You see my boat coming, I'm going to blow the horn, get out of the way. Because let me tell you, hey, there's my friend Judge Smills. I want to go over there. I'm Rodney Dangerfield and Caddyshack. I'm not yielding for anybody. If I have the bigger vessel, yield.
You would be perfect to embody that character.
I don't care what their Coast Guard, I don't care what the knots and all the other bullshit.
Well, you do need to know
where's the key, and I'm going forward.
You're going to need to know some of that stuff to dock.
No, I have a pilot's license. I'm more talented than a boat person. A boat, you could just stop.
Right, but you
can't stop a plane.
But you can do it. You have done it.
You've flown a plane?
No, I know you've flown a plane, but you parked a boat. Parking a boat's actually like kind of difficult.
Oh, I'll have somebody park it when I
Okay, I've never.
I'll have the harbor pilot come out and park. I'm talking about a big vessel.
Because you can fly a plane and you can land a plane, right?
Totally.
But you can't park a boat.
I don't know the first thing about parking a boat.
That's what I'm getting
at. All
right,
right, that part I'll probably take a class. But in terms of like when you're out there, like, oh, you have to be courteous. No, I don't. They weren't courteous to me. Did anybody ever invite me on that boat?
No.
No. I'm taking over your world now.
And so many people have boats and they never use them.
I'll ram them.
You'll just ram for the sake of.
I'll ram them. I ain't slowing down for shit.
Are you really getting a boat? Are you really? Okay, I was thought it was
the first thing about boats.
Okay, it's a lot of them. Like I always hear people whenever somebody has one, they just complain about having to take care of it.
Yes,
it's like having another house. Yeah. It's like a little thing that you.
I'll probably rent a boat and just be disruptive on the water for one day just to get my frustrations out.
That's what I think is awesome about like cars like Lamborghinis and stuff like that. You just rent them for a day. Why would you want that all year?
Oh, that's expensive car to maintain.
Yeah, gas alone.
Oh yeah, totally. They
Like
get,
you can't
nothing
even
per
fit that
gallon.
much in those tanks.
We do have Tom Brokaw standing by with a news
Tom's
story for
here.
Black
Oh, hey,
History
Tom.
Month. Tom, come on in. Thanks, guys. We do a news story for Black History Month. This is Tom Brokaw. Katherine Johnson, whose life was portrayed in the hit movie Hidden Figures, passed away today at 101.
101, Tom.
She was one of NASA's first female computers because the word computer meant somebody apt at mathematics. It wasn't a machine, it was a person.
She was in Hidden Figures. Yeah, she was in Hidden Figures. Is based on that, partially on that one.
She calculated the reentry numbers for John Glenn's historic first American in orbit spaceflight, which the anniversary was February 20th.
When you hear the story of all the elements that had to come together and all the things that had to happen so that it worked just after they're taken off, all that stuff afterwards, and all the precise meeting up and explosions, like things exploding off of the side of where you, like the ship. It's crazy.
Well, the reentry happens almost halfway around the world from where the splashdown is.
Oh.
So she had to calculate on a chalkboard all that math. Now, in the movie, they show like that she had to run to a different building because that's where the bathrooms were for
Right.
black people. Like, this is 1960 something. This is ridiculous that we even have this, as an issue. But
Yeah,
it was amazing. She had to use, the thing, and then and then they said, the numbers keep changing so much. I need to be in the meeting when you guys are briefed on John Glenn's flight because I need to be able to change the numbers on the fly. They're like, there's no precedence for a woman to be in a national security briefing. Like, a woman
It's
has
so
never been
stupid.
in a. I'm like, she's the person in charge.
Right, you need to do it. So was it the first time that it happened? Did she go to that
She was
meeting?
the first woman in
a
NASA
national
to be in a national
security briefing. That's a big deal. That's kind of cool.
It's ridiculous that they had all this discrimination.
Oh, just throughout history, but it's been everywhere throughout history.
And I didn't know this.
It wasn't just in America. America didn't invent discrimination and racism.
Right, but that
it existed way before us.
That was in the 60s, and I'm like, I can't believe this is like. And it was still, Virginia was still a segregated state. This all took place in Virginia. I'm like, in this sick, crazy shit.
That is.
But then I realized the civil rights was passed in 64.
That's true.
The civil rights bill was 64. So I'm like, oh my God.
And then think about how long it takes for something like that to fully implement itself.
Right.
And it still hasn't really.
It's ridiculous.
If
you're going to hate somebody, right? I would rather be at Citi Field, be the only white guy there, but be surrounded by Met fans, than be in an all-white stadium with people in Philly gear. If you're going to hate, don't hate by the color of the skin. Hate by the color of the jersey.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I like that.
Because I'd rather be surrounded by all different races in Citi Field, everybody in blue and orange, than be in an all-white stadium of Philly fans.
You just had you got to hang out with some of the Mets.
Oh, it's like I died. I went to Met heaven.
Yeah, I think, what's his name? Eric Tartaglione did it too?
He did Mets fantasy camp.
Okay.
Which is pricey.
That's real cool.
And but he got to play. This is when you're watching the team workouts, the practices. We got to see the major league players.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
I got to do that at Arsenal.
But the rest in peace, Katherine Johnson, a true American hero.
Yeah,
had to overcome. Not only did she have to overcome the technical challenges, she had to overcome all that personal crap. I highly recommend seeing the movie Hidden Figures.
Yeah, I loved it.
To everybody,
I saw
it was
twice.
a great picture. Yeah, it's a really good movie and great picture. So thank you, Tom Brokaw, for that. For that thing. So we were going to talk about 90s movies.
Love 90s movies.
90s movies. We had a lot. I mentioned before, Hunt for Red October, 30th anniversary.
This is the 30th anniversary of Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, 1990.
And who would you say is the best Jack Ryan? Is it Alec Baldwin in The Hunt for Red October? Or do you go with Harrison Ford? Or do you go with Ben Affleck? Or they have another guy doing it, Jeremy Renner? Is he who did it? Someone else is doing it, I think. Someone else
I don't know who's. Oh, well, John Krasinski did it in the
Right,
series.
that's what I was
on
just talking- yeah,
Amazon.
you're right.
Movies, it was Ben Affleck,
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, and Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
So let me just start by saying that Alec Baldwin is a hack.
Yeah.
Heavily overrated actor.
I know you're not a fan of him, Don.
But he did find the
President.
Red October. You got to give him credit. He found the Red October.
I saw a scene recently. I forgot that Tim Curry is in that movie.
He's the doctor.
He's
of
the doctor,
submarine.
and he gets kicked out of the office. It's a great scene.
I'll tell you a funny Tim Curry story. So there's a scene where Sam, what's his name from Jurassic Park was in it.
I know you're
What's
talking.
that? Sam Neill.
Sam Neill. Yes.
He said, "Captain, we've been sabotaged," and then Tim Curry goes, "Captain, we've been sabotaged," and Sean Connery goes, "Sabotage? Who said anything about sabotage?" And Tim Curry goes, "Captain." And then Sam Neill goes, "The doctor's right." He goes, so I see Tim Curry at the Thanksgiving Day parade in Manhattan. I'm in the first row, and I go, "Captain," and he turns and looks right at me. It was awesome.
Really?
Yes.
That's so cool.
Awesome.
That's so cool. He's
And
great. He's
that's a
one of the
great.
yeah.
So I actually do 3 impressions from that movie. I do Sean Connery, which I just did, and I do James Earl Jones. "You understand, Commander, that torpedo did not self-destruct. You heard it hit the hull, and I was never here."
That's particularly good.
Thank
That's
you.
a particularly good James Earl Jones.
And I do Fred.
Even I can do Sean Connery. Everyone, that's got to be another one that everybody does.
Lots of people do.
I wonder how he's doing now. He lives in a castle.
He does.
In Welsh.
And I also do Fred Thompson, who was the admiral. You work for Jim Greer, then I suppose you tell me what all the hubbub's about.
U.S. Senator Fred Thompson.
He was U.S. Senator.
He hated being a senator.
Yes.
He wanted to go back to acting, but he
was great
such a
in Die
weird-
Hard, too.
So weird. That's so weird when they do that, when they're able to. And he wasn't that. The age difference between when he was senator and doing those movies isn't that big. He probably hit it big when he was older.
Die Hard 2, also 1990 movie.
1990, yeah.
Now, here's what's screwed up about Die Hard 2 as a pilot. That whole plan that they implemented was dependent upon there being bad weather. If the weather was good, that movie doesn't happen.
And they don't talk about that? They don't talk about that
it's
as
a ridiculous
something?
premise. And then the guy goes, "McClane, your wife's plane is down to 90 minutes of fuel." 90 minutes of fuel, they can make Florida. Are you?
Right.
What are you kidding? You think that they're just going to
Just
fly
fly
around
around in
DC
the
for 6 hours
so
until they
silly.
run out of fuel? They could go to thousands of other airports. He goes, "Well, they shut down all the frequencies." No, they could have controlled.
You can still do it, right?
They would have just contacted the regional air traffic control center and said, "Dulles is off. Switch to the emergency frequency or any other." There's hundreds of other frequencies they could have contacted. "Oh, yeah, by the way, Dulles was taken over by terrorists. Go to Cleveland. You guys go over here. Fly to Florida." They're not just going to run out of fuel and crash.
No,
Stupid premise.
And people like you are going to catch that because you know a little more about planes than most
didn't
people.
when the guy goes, "Your wife's plane's down in 90 minutes of fuel," they could make Florida.
They a lot more, a lot more. But that's a funny little thing. What I think of right now, another '90s movie, Braveheart. That's a movie that I'm thinking
Did that come
of.
out in 1990?
I think that was 19. It wasn't. I think it was 91.
Okay. We got to wait till next year to talk about that.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
No, I'm kidding.
He in that movie, there's a scene where he's running with a sword, and then running with an axe, and then running with nothing during
Continuity?
Yeah, it's a continuity thing. And this movie won Best Picture, and it had a moment like that where he has all these different weapons and then no weapon, and then he's back to the axe.
I noticed there's dozens of mistakes in Top Gun. So many mistakes. The very first scene, you see the bald guy walk into the Combat Information Center. He's wearing a shirt with just the wings on. The very next frame you see him, he's got ribbons on with the wings. Both uniforms are acceptable, but he threw all those ribbons on in the 5 feet from the door to the...
Yes.
And he's like, "Who's
Oh,
up
I
there?"
forgot this. Yeah.
Cougar and Merlin and Maverick and Goose. Great. Maverick and Goose.
Characters. Great characters. That's how I want my relationship. If I ever get married, I would like it to be sort of a Maverick and Goose sort of relationship. I want that kind of camaraderie. I want, I call her Goose, she calls her Maverick, that kind of thing. I think there's a lyrics of a song too. Yeah, that's where I am. 1990s movies are the Batman. Jack Nicholson, probably up to that point, made the most money. No, that was 89.
89,
Sorry, can't
that's
talk
right.
about it. I take it back. Sorry.
I had to think.
Yeah.
And then Batman Returns was 92.
That was 92.
What I liked about the Batman movies is that I really like Michael Keaton as Batman.
Sure.
He
He might actually come back as it. There's an effort to try to make him come back as a...
Did you see the video I made, Bat Trump, on Facebook?
Did you make this a while ago?
No, just recently. I
No.
got the cape,
No.
I got the mask, and I got the Trump
I
wig
think
on.
I saw a picture of it and I didn't watch the video.
And I put the video up, and I said,
The thanks to the Democrats, the crime is so bad in all the cities that
That's
President Trump alone wasn't enough.
hilarious.
We had to do Bat Trump.
That's
and I have the Batman
'Cause he's a
shirt.
billionaire.
I'm a billionaire, and then so the villain is Bernie Sanders.
that's
It's
funny.
like, first of all, he
him
should be
with-
paying taxes, not being a vigilante.
But Bernie Sanders with that mask on and
With the
almost
mask.
talking like that. How do you do that? That would be a great
Of
him
course.
talking through Bernie Sanders talking through the thing is everywhere.
Things are going according to plan.
That's great. I
Yeah,
love
so
that.
that's going to be the thing.
a
But if
favorite.
you think about the movie Batman when he rescues Vicky Vale,
It's like, Vicky, not too bright, Vicky. She's kind of stupid. I told her to get in the car. She's like, which one? Gee, I don't know. Maybe the one that looks like a bat. I don't know.
Did she really ask that? Is that one of her
in the
questions?
movie, he goes, "Get in the car," and she goes, "Which one?" And then they play the Batman music, and you see the Batmobile for the first time. Like, what kind
It
of
seems
an
like a
idiot?
silly thing to
Like,
say.
Isn't that silly?
You don't need to have that in
What
there.
a moron!
Yeah.
it's the guy looks like a bat. You don't think the car that looks like? Oh, get in that Chrysler.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Another Sean Connery movie.
Yes,
That's another 90s movie. That's one of my favorites. Just watched it recently.
I like that one. He goes, Dad, 11 o'clock. He goes, what's going to happen at 11 o'clock? He goes, 12, 11, 10, 11 o'clock. Because in aviation, 12 is dead ahead, 9 is to the left, 3 is to the right, 6 is behind you.
Okay. So you're standing towards the 12.
So
this might be
12 is
good to
forward-
know
is forward.
forever.
Yes.
Seriously.
So that's where they say check 6 o'clock. That's behind the aircraft. 12 is in front, 9 is to the left, 3 is to the right.
I mean, I always one
And
of
then,
my
in between.
my bucket list things is to I would love to fly a plane to do it
I
myself.
can teach you.
Yeah, no, I know it's not. I hear that it's the flying part isn't that hard at all.
The new Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I have the old one, the new one that's coming out in the summer of this year. I have to get a whole new computer for it. The graphics are ridiculous.
Is it like virtual reality? Or do you do it?
No, you're in that thing. It's a regular screen, but when you fly, they show a plane like flying low in Africa. You see giraffe walking by. It's ridiculous. The cities all look exactly like the cities. Now, Microsoft Flight Simulator, the one I have, looks pretty close to Manhattan. Like you can see the Statue of Liberty, but it's not. The new one is going to be detailed. So when you fly a helicopter, like I can land on the White House lawn, but it looks like a so-so rendering of the White House. The new one is you're probably going to see much more detail.
Right,
So I can't wait for that to come out.
right.
That's going to be fantastic. Then I could do like in the True Lies movie. I have the terrorist on the tail, the daughter hanging onto the nose, and them flying all over Miami, and them the terrorists.
So particularly good.
That was a great Arnold.
Yeah, that was a great Arnold in those years in the 90s. Arnold in the 90s was the best Arnold.
That was the most fantastic Arnold.
Yeah, through all his career. Because he started acting in the 70s. Conan, the first one, was 79 or 80.
80 something, and then it's amazing that so in 1984 when the Terminator was made, they were interviewing Michael Biehn, who played Reese.
Who always played a Navy SEAL.
Always played a Navy
always
SEAL.
plays a Navy SEAL.
He was in Navy SEAL
In The Rock and a couple of other movies.
That's right. He was in the movie Navy SEAls.
Yeah, he
and
was in
The
Navy
Rock,
SEALs.
In Navy SEAls. So, and he was the team leader in both pictures.
Right, yeah.
So
a
it's
typecasting.
It's funny because he's like, "Who's this guy Arnold Schwarzenegger who making the movie?" But he was the big star.
Yes.
So then you
right.
go from 84 to 90,
Oh,
and
God.
who the hell knew Michael Bay? But Schwarzenegger was huge.
Right.
That's
He
when
made
that's
people
Total
huge.
Total Recall was 1990, and Kindergarten Cop was 1990.
Oh, wow. Those
Both-
are arguably two of his biggest movies. That means
The
Twins
most-
had to be around that
That
same-
was 88. That was Twins.
They're doing another one.
Commando was 85. Fantastic movie with Ray Doden-Shaw.
I like
It's
that
great.
one, yes.
But in Total Recall movie, we had to go to Mars. We filmed it on location in Mars. Took 18 months to get there and back. And the movie, the filming.
I
up
wanted to
there.
ask you, Arnold. I wanted
Yes.
to ask you a question about
Oh,
when
absolutely.
you met Quado. You
Quad-
remember Quado?
Oh,
when
he
you
was
met,
in the stomach of the other guy who was
Yeah.
also in Twins. That
Yes.
guy was in Twins movie.
Yeah, he was in the Twins movie too. Quado.
Correct. No, the other guy. The other guy.
Oh, the actor
I
who had
forget his
Quado
name. He's
in
not
his stomach.
as big as me, but he was in there.
He also played. Didn't he play Sledgehammer? No, that was someone else.
That was the other guy
The
from
other guy looked like
the
him.
Sledgehammer guy. What the hell's his name? He was in the movie The Sentinel with Michael Douglas.
Yeah. I know you're talking about.
Which was a good movie.
It was a good
The
movie.
Sentinel
You
was
like
fantastic.
movies, Arnold.
I
That's
love
great.
the movies, but those movies don't do what we do in the movies with the explosions and all of this. And we're going to make Terminator 7.
That's it. Really, you just came out with another one recently.
We're going to make another one. And in this one, I'm an 80-year-old Terminator.
An 80-year-old, those are the robots age. They're sort of
Correct.
That seems like useless.
And I would
that you would
say-
have a robot that ages.
And I would say, come with me if you want to live. But wait a minute, I threw out my back. So that is what this new movie is going to be great.
I like to build up to that. That's great.
Thank you. But
That's one of my favorite.
It is a
one of my favorite-
fantastic movie.
Get in the chopper is one of the most ubiquitous character lines to play
Oh,
for.
so-
Get in the chopper.
Get to the chopper. So that is what is fantastic about this, is that I was an unknown in 84. 87, I'll be back is household words. I make Commando movie, and then I make a Predator movie and Raw Deal. These are great movies.
And then you did a few movies with Sylvester Stallone recently.
Yes,
Like in the last 10 years.
But unfortunately, we waited till we were in our 60s. So the movie was going to be called The Dependables.
Right, because
We had to go to the bathroom. It's
All the
like
time.
we can't fly 3 hours. We have to go to the bathroom before the mission.
You know, I've never seen any of those movies.
The
And,
Dependables?
of the Expendables,
Expendables?
and I've never seen any of those movies, and I've wanted to, but I just haven't. And it was on the other night, and the movie starts. I'm like, oh my god, this is the Expendables. This is awesome. I'm gonna be, and then it starts in Spanish.
What?
I'm like, I wanted to watch this
Why didn't Schwarzenegger and Stallone make a movie in their primes in the 80s? I could have written that movie.
because they're agents. There was a different thought process, I think, then. In the 80s, they were just not as open. I think there's an openness to ideas now more than there was in the 80s. And I think they were too afraid of one canceling the other out or one being bigger than the other or too big. Look at Tango and Cash was like one of my favorite movies of the time,
Speaking of Tango and Cash,
which is 80s.
remember Jack Palance?
Oh, yeah, and City Slickers.
Ray Tango, Gabriel Cash. How many millions that time?
That's awesome.
I haven't done
And-
Jack Palance in a while. He was
This-
a Batman.
Yes.
Get me Lieutenant Eckhart.
Yes, that's right. He played the bad guy. He
played
played
the
what
bad-
Christopher
what-
Walken essentially played.
Right.
Yeah, he was Shrek, Max Shrek.
But I could have written a
No,
movie.
that was the penguin's name is Max Shrek. Sorry.
Oh, right.
right.
Bruce, shame on you. He goes, that'll cause more later. Max Shrek
I
was
would
the-
give you baubles.
So one quick point that we got to do the dueling Michael Caine.
Oh, dueling Michael Caine, yeah.
So what was I going to say about the so Schwarzenegger, Stallone, they could have been like Navy SEAL team
anything
leaders.
they could have done.
And we have to get in there and rescue the hostage. All right, my team is going to go through the roof. We'll blow the roof,
Your
take out the
team's
guards.
going the other way.
What are you going to do? I'm going to walk right through the front door. Like it could have been total testosterone, 80s tough guy movie,
Yeah.
Delta Force 2.
Yeah, now they
You
can do it
know.
with computers, though. They can take them, put them in computers, and they can make a movie look exactly like real.
Or you know what I would love to do? I'd love to I have to find an animator. I have so many ideas for movies, like Sopranos, Star Trek. like the Klingons are like, you are in our territory. It's like,
What the frick? We're in space. We're flying around on our own frickin' business. You Klingon assholes. Every frickin' time we take the Enterprise for a spin,
no,
And then you pass out, you pass
It's gonna be
out.
Stugats.
you gotta come up with this bullshit.
That's right. It's called the USS.
USS
Stugatz.
Stugats. These are the voyages of the USS Stugats.
I love meshing different concepts that people know.
That's all I do with my act. My whole act
love that.
is
It's one of my,
meshing-
you're doing one of my favorite things, though. This
Really?
idea of what ifs, and putting,
What if this? That's my whole
Yeah.
act. My whole act is like what ifs.
Yeah. And I've only had the opportunity to probably see you 2 or 3 times, even though I've known you for a very long time. I've probably only sat through your sets 2 or 3 times.
And you probably
At-
have never seen my full show. I do
Never.
like a half-hour show.
Never, yeah. And I think it's just been like the Belmore Bean.
So,
which I didn't go
which
to.
we
Did
only
you go
get
to-
like
did you go there
6
tonight?
minutes. I didn't go there tonight. No, I'm here.
Right. Well, they were like at
That's
6.
why I had Les Deegan on one time on this show, and I wanted Les to be on, but I only have a tight window to get him on. You know when I get him on? The third Monday of the month, Poetry Night.
Oh, that's nice.
So I can only have him on. There's only one Monday a month I can even.
Les is one of my favorite people.
Les is terrific. We love Les.
Yeah.
But we got to do, because the show wraps up in a couple minutes.
Sure.
I've been looking forward to doing
Yeah, this is great.
Michael Caine. I know in England, because I saw him on English TV, he was most impersonative voice.
I'm not surprised to hear that because
It might be worldwide. I don't know.
it's a fun one to do.
It's a very fun one to do. Michael Caine. Go ahead.
I'm Michael Caine. I get my impressions from Michael Caine from when he was doing acting, or Michael Caine on acting, and he's talking about how you don't look someone in the eye when you're acting; you look above their eye. So you're looking at their forehead
Above
and you
their
don't,
eye.
right.
I
That's
loved him
what-
in the Batman movies when he got all about
You'd get upset. That's really
Pastor
funny.
Bruce,
I'm not going to be able to do it.
I won't bury it under Batman.
That's so good.
I keep burying the Batman with the little ears.
You have 5 of them. You have it seemed like before when we were talking about Michael Caine, you have 5 different Michael Caines
Yes.
throughout his
Well,
history.
those British guys are really good, and it's true what they said. Because in the 1960s, Michael Caine used to talk like this, and then over the years, he got very deeper.
That's like the
that's
Cider
the-
House rules.
the Batman.
That's and Batman.
And
Sure.
the Batman. It's like Master Bruce. I won't bury it. And then the emotion, when he does the emotional voice.
That's really good.
I won't bury it at the member of the Wayne family. And then it was Jaws 4, get in a bloody boat.
You don't get enough credit for how good you are.
Oh,
you
thank
don't
you.
get enough credit for how good you are, and people need to see you more. People need to see these impressions that you can do. You need a show. You need a show where, I mean, there's no reason that millions of people. You should go on. I know this is. You should go on TikTok. TikTok is
What the bloody hell is TikTok?
That's it's a new social media site, and it gives you the opportunity to put your comedy on in a certain way, like 45 seconds.
Somebody
and-
told me about that. I gotta write that. Do you want to do more Michael Caine?
Yeah, we could do
Yeah.
more Michael Caine. My Michael Caine does not. I mean, I don't have the 4. I could watch you and mimic you as you do it, but I only have this Michael Caine.
Do the Michael Caine we talked about before the show. When you go, hello.
Hello, I'm Michael Caine, and but again, I'm going in the same place. I'm in the same place as I was before, and God damn it.
But they're right. There are even Michael Caine doing Michael Caine. There were different Michael Caines.
Sure, yes.
And I picked that up on my own. Also, those British guys who are very good Michael Caine impressions, both of them, very, very funny.
So you watched other impressionists do it?
No, I just happened to see them because they were arguing about who did the best Michael Caine.
Oh, okay.
But they're both phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're partners. They work together. Both of them, I forget their names, but
All my voices,
They're
everything
phenomenal.
that I like, the dialects that I've tried to do, whether I'm doing theater or I don't use a lot of dialects or voices in my act at all. I almost never do impressions or anything. But when I would do them, it sort of always came sort of naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of came more easily to do dialects.
Right.
But from watching like Dana Carvey and Mike Myers on SNL in the early
Amazing.
90s,
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the 90s, those were the guys that really turned me on to watching. And just like watching Mike Myers do Mick Jagger.
Oh.
I mean, it was so funny.
you saw Wayne's World too, right?
Yes.
I love Dale Preston. I'm afraid you've been misinformed. I don't do that sort of thing anymore. I haven't put on a rock concert in years.
That's
That
really
guy
good.
is amazing.
Yeah.
And he goes, hold the bell. Was it Jim Morrison? Yes.
That's really funny.
Was he at a half naked? Did he have a half naked Indian with him? Yes. I have to ask you. Did you think that the butt crack of the Indian was a tad unnecessary? Yes. I had the same dream. I loved.
That's
That
another
character.
Those are both 90s movies.
Were those 90s movies? Yes,
yeah,
they were.
I think it was, it had to be. Because Mike Myers didn't blow up until after that. Yeah.
So the shop owner and his son, that's a different story altogether. I had to beat them to death with their own shoes. Nasty business, really. That
Yeah.
guy was so interesting.
And out of nowhere, too.
Out of nowhere. It's like-
I like that sort of comedy that is sort of detached from it's just like reference things. And that's why
Yes.
the Family Guy is so popular.
Yep.
It's because all reference comedy. Just laughing at something because, oh my God, that's from Superman and we all get it. And
Right,
that kind
right.
of thing. I like that.
and they had the crying Indian when he sees all the garbage.
Oh, of
and they're like,
course.
"Don't cry, we'll clean it
Yeah.
up." I love that.
Yeah, that's so
part.
funny.
You know, that part
Great
was
stuff.
great. The crying Indian with the garbage.
They've made so many parodies of that over the years.
They have,
too.
but I think
like
they were
that.
the first ones to do it, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. I feel like it was probably, what was that, 1972, probably? A George
Yeah, I was a little
McGovern
kid.
era?
Yeah. So it was around that time, and
He was a Jewish guy. He wasn't an Indian.
he wasn't even
no,
Indian.
he was
It
not an Indian.
Somebody told me he was Italian. I don't know what the real story
He
is,
was an
but
Italian guy.
he wasn't. He
It's
wasn't
hilarious.
Indian, so which is pretty funny.
It just doesn't.
Oh, we were talking about zombie movies before. Now, I'm not a big zombie movie fan, but I was watching one of the zombie things, the preview or whatever. And I'm like, and it's been like 10 years since the thing. Who cuts the grass? The grass is all mowed.
Right.
Who's cutting the grass?
Right.
The grass should be 10 feet high if 10 years.
And I was saying that I think like someone would probably die in the middle of being a zombie.
Right, and with the lawnmower.
And they would be in the middle and they would just keep on mowing the lawn.
Or their arm fell off or
Their arm fell off.
something.
It's really a horrible. That's what they want to scare you into thinking with Corona and everything, coronavirus.
I'm scared of this coronavirus.
Of course,
thing.
it's not something to take lightly.
No.
We're okay right now, and its mortality rate is only like 1 or 2% or something like that. So it's
less than the flu.
yeah, it's less.
But
than
it's
the flu.
scary because there's no vaccine.
No, and they might not find one.
But when it
But I mean, let's face it. This isn't a popular statement to make, but the world needs to be thinned out.
that's so. You might like my idea.
Oh, God. It's a terrible way to go.
It's a terrible thing, but I said, why didn't they just drop a 50 megaton nuclear warhead on ground zero in China, of where this originated, that village? You would have nuked a couple of square, most of the, maybe you drop a few warheads. You would have nuked hundreds of square miles, and the heat would have
destroyed
eradicated
it.
the virus.
We think, yeah. Are there some viruses that heat does not destroy?
Well, that's 3,000 degrees. That's wiping out everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Nuclear blast, 50 megaton. Now, and also the debris from that much debris going into the upper atmosphere would block out part of the sun. Now you've got a reversal of global warming. Coronavirus dead, global warming reversed.
Wow. It'd be amazing. if
I'm
that-
kidding. You can't drop a
No, you
50
can't.
megaton.
You can't.
No,
I
you got to
don't-
get like Morgan Freeman in Outbreak. We done all we can as doctors.
That's another great. Is that a '90s movie? That's got to be
90s
a
movie.
90s
Yeah.
movie. That's
We're not moving. We're not moving.
That was supposed to be Harrison
Guys,
Ford.
the disease is outside the zone. You can't drop the bomb.
Yeah, he was. He gives Dustin Hoffman.
That's
gives,
why I set you up with the bomb. I thought you
I don't
were
know
gonna
the
pick
line.
that
I
up.
don't remember the line.
Shit.
I don't remember.
Now
the line.
people think I want to nuke China. It was all a setup for the plot in Outbreak. What's
Now
the matter?
that's what everyone's going to come away from this episode. It's
Santa
just-
wants to nuke China. No, it was Outbreak. It was Outbreak.
That movie was so good, and that's coronavirus.
They were going to
That's
nuke
another-
the town.
Yeah,
And then he's like, it's beyond the town, guys. We're not moving.
yeah. Oh God, yes, you did. Yeah, and that was supposed to be Harrison Ford,
Who?
the Dustin Hoffman role.
Really?
Yeah, and Harrison Ford did something else instead.
They had a lot of big names.
Did anyone go see Wild? That movie?
No.
That Harrison Ford. I didn't.
I saw the preview.
But that's I did too. Yeah, I didn't. But I had no interest in seeing the movie.
No, me neither.
And right, like within a week of that movie coming out, they announced the next Indiana Jones movie. Because I don't
Is
think
he Indiana Jones?
Oh yeah,
He's 75. He's
Yes.
going to run from the natives to the bathroom.
it's Indiana Jones and the early bird breakfast at Denny's.
In a world where Indiana Jones
should do that.
find an early bird, comes the new adventure. Dun, 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 dun.
I'll have the eggs and
Where do you wash your hands in this place?
right and go through the whole and play it out like an adventure, an Indiana Jones adventure. Yeah.
In a world where Indiana Jones can't find the men's room, Indiana Jones and the lost urinal.
He peed everywhere.
He peed. Sponsored by Flomax.
Yeah. There will be a lot of that humor coming out in like next summer. I bet it'll probably be when the movie comes.
Probably.
Not this summer, but the next summer. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Producer is giving me the
We're here.
wrap
Wow. Thank you so
sign.
much. I appreciate being here.
Oh, it was awesome to have you. Thank you for changing your schedule. And happy birthday to DB Frick.
Thank you. I will be at Drexler's in New York City tomorrow on the Lower East Side.
Nice.
At 8 p.m. That's my
8 p.m.?
show. Yeah, I'm doing a show.
Where can people find you? Your website? all that
You
stuff?
can go on Twitter. I don't really have a website.
Twitter.
You can go to Twitter at dbfrick, TikTok at d.b.frick, Instagram dbfrick1977. If you Google DB Frick, you will find me. I'm the only one in the history of mankind.
That's right. The only only DB Frick in mankind's history.
In mankind's
And
history.
I will be at Theater 3 in Port Jefferson on March
Love that
28th.
theater. What a beautiful theater. One
Awesome.
of our best theaters on Long Island.
Awesome theater. I love it. I saw a Christmas Carol there, and I loved it.
Seen it a couple. I used to perform with an improv troupe
Oh,
for many
they're
years.
amazing.
Yeah.
What a play. Beautiful, historic downtown Port Jefferson.
One of my favorites.
I'll be there March 28th, one show only with Rich Walker And
best. Love Rich.
Paul Anthony Rich is terrific.
Paul Anthony's very funny.
Very funny, and it's going to be a great show. And that's a wrap for this week's episode. My guest co-host next week is John LaRocchia Jr. from Actual Horse Comedy. Tune into that show.
Good one.
And I want to thank my special guest co-host, DB Frick, for coming in on his birthday. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we just did a handshake. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of The Radio. And to quote Wayne's World, and we're clear. Well, we are clear in a second. Thank you for listening.